Welcome to session 3C, Strength-Based Leadership. I'd like to introduce Edie Ricciuto. Edie is the proprietor of Link 34 Consulting. I spent 10 years working with Edie, plus or minus. She's got 25 years in the industry between the city of Cleveland and Cleveland Metro Parks. Edie's goal is to develop, retain, and keep employees engaged. She identifies future leaders, provides them with the tools to succeed, realize their strengths, and to lead and improve their performance, confidence, and the relationships they build. She's coached leadership teams, developed team retreats, coached more than 100 individuals, providing them with simplified goals for self-improvement. This translates into motivated employees that achieve their organizational goals. And I would say in my years working with Edie, she helped me tremendously. She helped my team operate at a level that we hadn't yet before. So very excited to have her here today and share her skills with you. So Edie.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you, Sean. So I get to do what I love the most right now. And coming from Cleveland Metro Parks and working with Sean, so there's the connection, and I want to thank Sean and Kevin and the other leaders within Cogence for this opportunity. I'm going to bring you back to, this has been very technical for me, which I love to see that side of this industry, because I actually have a client right now who is in the construction industry, and I'm coaching his leaders. So they've all done their strengths. So this has really helped me understand this construction industry on a deeper level. So the first question we want to ask is, why create a strengths-based culture? But first, let's ask, what is a strengths-based culture? So a strengths-based culture I'm going to throw it out to all of you. Who's done your strengths or Clifton strengths? You have. Okay, so you know about the assessment. You got 34 of your top strengths. Do you know your top 5? I do. What are they?
Harmony, achiever, learner, and then I'm forgetting the last two because it's too quick, but yeah, I lead with harmony for sure.
Okay, so probably leading with relationship building, and we're going to get into the 4 domains down the road a little bit and why this is important. So I want one point that you take away today, and that is to remember that a strengths-based culture is the ability for people to do what they do best. And I heard this from a couple of the speakers in the panel this morning on stage. I heard this from Pam, that Cogence is about building relationships, right? Armando, I believe, it was his birthday, he said, we need to build relationships. If you know how people are showing up to work every day, and you know their strengths, I already know, what's your name? Stephanie, I already know a little bit about you because your number one strength is harmony. And no strength stands alone. So this is why in coaching, I try to bring forward the top 5, the top 10, and hopefully you got all 34, right? So first activity, let's do it, because this is about, Sean knows this is what I do, and this is about communicating and connecting, and that's what Clifton Strengths is all about. The second part of my presentation is all about engagement. So I'm going to engage all of you for a minute. So you have cards in front of you. What I do best. Flip that card over. And I want you to tell the person next to you if this is what you do best or if this is way off. Okay? You could do that now. And if you're by yourself, just jump in. You can just jump in, do a 3. Okay. All right, I'm going to bring you back. Come on back. Who picked up the perfect card? Oh, a couple people. Here, let's see. Can you take the mic?
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm Dave Scott. My card is to use history to explain my position, which is ironical because I'm a litigator. Right? What we do is we take precedent and we argue that this applies to that precedent to have the outcome that my client desires. So it's basically what I do for a living.
Thank you. Who else? Let's go back here.
Mine was eat snacks. No. Mine was overcome obstacles, and yeah, that's like, you know, always believe my ability to figure things out. So that is a hallmark of mine.
Okay, let's get one more who did where we nailed it.
Yeah, so mine, I said pretty darn close. Follow through with what I said I would do, and I think in my kind of mindset, servant leadership is what I do, and doing things for others, and part of that is follow through. So.
Thank you. Thank you. And who picked a card and cringed and then tried to find another one?
I'm Jeff. Mine was compare my performance to those of others. That could not be further from what I like to do.
Okay. So I have a question for you, Jeff. What would happen if I told you this is your new job and you have to do this every day? Okay. You better learn because you're going to be evaluated on this in about 12 months. Okay. Start your own firm. Who else? Sean, I want to hear from you. I saw you trying to find other cards, so.
Help others explain their thoughts. I'm an engineer, not a psychologist, so this was not.
And I coached you, so I know that's. Okay, so your boss says, Brian says, Sean, you need to be better at this. Okay, and I'm going to evaluate you at the end of the year. So get busy. Who else? One more where it just wasn't it, not a match. Anybody else?
So mine was stay in contact with my friends, which just unfortunately just because of my work, personal life just hasn't happened. So yeah, it made me cringe. So.
Okay. Yeah. What was your name? And David, it nailed it for you. How would you feel if you had to do that every day?
If I had to do what over again?
If you had to do this every day, the card that you picked.
I do.
You do, and how does that feel?
It's fine. Yeah,
Fine?
I enjoy it. It's not bad.
So the point is, if we are in the workplace and we don't get to do what we do best, if leaders put us in a position where we don't get to do our best, what did Jeff do? I'm out of here. 51% of employees say they are actively looking for a new job or watching for openings. 51%. Are you kidding me? This is staggering. We need to do something differently. We need to find out what people do best because, okay, story. I said I wasn't going to tell too many stories. Went to Troy, Ohio last night. I had no idea where I was going. I drove from Marblehead, Ohio, where I've been staying for a week or so, down to Troy to have dinner with my cousins. And my cousin is 25, and he works at a big car company. I'll let you guess which one it is, and he's an engineer. And we got to talking about work, and I said, how's it going? How's your boss? How do you like your job? He said, I love what I do. I just don't like to do it there because of my boss. What don't you like about your boss? Well, he had a conversation with me yesterday, and he said, Mark, you're really good at what you do. You excel at what you do, but you're not good at these things. You need to get better. And he walked away. So guess what my cousin is doing? Right here. He's looking. He's like, I ignored him. He had that conversation with him a couple months ago, never came back, never did any coaching. So 3 things that we want to remember as leaders. We want to remember that we need to set expectations up front. We need to have meaningful conversations, and we need to hold people accountable. And we need to do it, those conversations we need to do weekly, not annually, not quarterly. If we have weekly conversations, quick connects with our team, there are no surprises. Jeff, I bet you do this. I sat in Jeff's presentation earlier and really enjoyed his, the way that he works with his team, engaging them and keeping them feeling like they're a part of the decision-making process. So those 3 things, right? Setting the expectations, the accountability piece is usually where we fall off. I was a manager my whole career. It's not easy to go back and say, Sean, how are those conversations going, right? So the workplace is changing. So I'm Gallup certified Clifton Strengths coach and engagement champion through Gallup. I do not work for Gallup, but because I'm certified through Gallup, they allow me as a coach to use their research and their material, and they are the polling people. So I love that I don't have to do that work. They do it for me. So let's see if I could get this started.
George Gallup once said, if democracy is
Probably can't hear it.
on the will of the people, then somebody should go out and find out what that will is. That's why we do what we do at Gallup. We find out what matters most to people and why. One of the things that we've tracked is a global change in what people want from their life. Think of it as the new will of the world. It is changing how people think, feel, and behave. Even the way people think about work has changed. Gallup data shows what everyone in the world wants is a good job. Not just any job. The world wants a good job. This change affects leadership substantially. To succeed, leaders have to understand the new will of the world. That's what we'll explore in this course, and not a minute too soon. The desire for a good job has a direct and significant effect on the practice of management, changing what it takes to lead a high-performance team and to be a high-performance manager. A paycheck isn't enough anymore. That's just a job. A good job gives people purpose and meaning and fulfills the human need for growth and development. As a manager, when you create that good job for your employees, you create a sense of purpose and meaning. So, what does a good job look like to you? And what does it look like for your employees?
So we're going to take one of those questions. What does a good job look like to you? If you could write that down on one of your little Post-it notes there. What does a good job look like to you? And then I'd like you to draw a line underneath that. And what does a good job look like for your team? If you're not managing a team, what does it look like for your coworkers? Let's hear from a couple people who would like to share. I got a mic.
So Bob Knoll, for me, it's being empowered to make decisions, or having the feeling like I have the freedom to make decisions. For my team, I feel like a good job to them is feeling like their efforts are rewarded. They put in a lot of hard work and they want it to mean something. So.
Somebody else?
How's it going, everybody? This is Aaron with Osborne. For me, I like a challenging, people-oriented environment with a positive culture. For my team, it's a lot about opportunity, and for ample opportunity for them to move up and engage in leadership type decisions within the company.
Thank you, and I love that you use the word engaged, because in order to engage, and I don't like to put generations in buckets, but we know the generations, there can be 5 different generations in the workforce right now. That is crazy. We have a lot of different personalities and a lot of different expectations, and some of those individuals are not like me. I stayed in government for 30 years, okay? They're not like my parents, who stayed in a job for almost 40 years that they didn't like, but they had to put food on the table. This is different. Going back to my cousin, Mark, his generation, he's not thinking twice about looking for another job. He said, oh, I can immediately find another job. They have, I don't know, more courage, maybe, is a good word. So in the video, you heard him refer to the course. So there's actually a course based on the book, It's the Manager, by Jim Harder and Jim Gallup. And the course is Boss to Coach, because this is what the generations in the workforce now want. They don't want a boss. They want a coach. They want a purpose, not a paycheck. They want work that is meaningful. They want development. You don't develop your people and give them opportunities, they're heading out the door. They want to be coached. And the big one right here is the word understand. Now, I had a leader raise his hand, and he said, this all sounds kind of soft. He was a baby boomer. And I said, your CEO does not think this is soft, because he just hired me for 2 years to go through all of these tools. This is a different way of leading. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. I had a manager who acquired an employee, and he said, I have no idea what he does. This was in a coaching session. And I said, are you going to meet with him? No, I don't have time to. Well, I think you should meet with him and find out what he does every day. You're stressed. He might be able to help you. I don't have time. I said, maybe you should have him write down what he does, and then you can have conversations and hold him accountable. No, I don't have time to do that. It's okay. That's a paycheck thief, right? And that's a manager who isn't really doing his job. Conversations versus reviews. The review process has always been painful for me as a manager. Dread at the end of the year. How many of us just go through the motions? Am I the only one? I mean, you kind of have to just get through it, especially if you have 20 people or 10 or even 5. Very time consuming. Meaningful conversations throughout the year make the review process almost go away, makes it enjoyable. Strengths versus weaknesses. People want to do what they naturally do best every day. That's a strength. Being able to do what I do best naturally. Talent comes naturally. And life versus job. Work has become a life for so many people. It's no longer a work-life balance. Work is life. So Don Clifton said, what will happen when we think about what is right with people rather than fixating what is wrong with them? What a concept. Don's dream was to see 1 million people take their strengths assessment, which used to be called Strengths Finder, and he saw that before his death in 2003. Gallup did a rebrand probably about 4 years ago in his honor and renamed it Clifton Strengths in his honor. So today, more than 30 million people have taken their strengths. And if you do your strengths assessment, there are only 1 in 34 million people that have the same top 5 in the same order as you. So talk about doing this for your team and making them feel unique, like they bring a unique set of strengths and talents to the team. It's very powerful. So personally is to know how to use your strengths every day. So who would like to have an excellent, 3 times an excellent quality of life? Or would you like your employees to be 6 times engaged in work than they are now? Yeah. Okay, another activity. Are you ready? We're going to go fast. So stand up if you almost always talk to people in elevators, airplanes, grocery stores, or wherever you go. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You made it. I'm going to start going a little bit quicker now. Stand up if you almost always have a color-coded or otherwise organized closet. I need to sit down right now. Thank you. Stand up if you almost always write down a list of things to do and stick to it, even on the weekends. I need to sit down. I need all of you to coach me, okay? Stand up if you almost always need to pick someone to race while driving. Just one? Honest person? Stand up if you almost always tend to speak up and ask questions. Stand up if you almost always push the elevator button to remind the elevator that you are there. Does it work? Oh, I think it does. So, fun activity, the takeaway with that is we all bring different traits, right? We all bring different personalities. I found out Jeff, he has high influencing strengths. He's done his Clifton Strengths Assessment. He has woo, which is winning others over. Yeah, and may not be afraid to talk to people, right? So let's talk about the definition of a talent, a naturally reoccurring pattern of thought, feeling, or behavior that can be productively applied. This is where you know your team's strengths and you give them work based on those strengths. I have worked and still do work with an organization that has a CEO that is very open to making sure that people are in the right seat on the bus. I've been working with him for about 2 years. 75 people at his home office in Brunswick, Ohio, have gone through the Clifton Strengths assessment, and they've been coached. What came out of that, there were a few managers that said, this isn't right for me. I hate what I do. Encouraged these individuals to talk to their supervisors. Supervisor talked to the executive team, who talked to the CEO. They found another place for her. 2 individuals. He's so passionate about getting the person in the right seat. I want to ask you, what's the advantage of that? Why not just say, this is what you signed up for. Get it together. What's the advantage? Longevity, continuity. I'm sorry? Still didn't hear you. Proper use of talent.
People get pushed into management roles all the time. They
Yeah.
didn't either want to be manager, but they felt they had to take that step. We see it pretty commonly through, big and small corporations sometimes.
Thank you. And Simon Sinek said, most individuals that are promoted to a leadership position because they did well in their last position. You're so good, Jeff, at what you do. Now we want you to go and manage the whole department. But they don't train them. They don't tell them how to do that. And they're floundering, trying to figure it out. And they fail. This individual, it was the position she was in was very strategic. She had all relationship building themes. It was not a fit.
The whole team does better. Because if you've got somebody who's not using their strengths and you've people reporting to them, if that leader's not happy, then that's going to bleed down into the entire team below them.
100% affects engagement. Profit. And you've seen that at your company. Yeah, I saw that slide. Wow. So we're going to talk a little bit about the 4 domains. So you get 34 strengths, but they're broken down into these 4 categories: relationship building, executing, influencing, and strategic thinking. And for each one of those categories, there's a bucket, if you will. When Don Clifton did his research, and he researched all over the world, what makes people tick? What makes them successful in their positions? And he came up with 34 strengths. And those are the buckets, if you will, if you take the assessment. As you can see, executing is the achiever, right? And you've got all of those others below it. Influencing, you have woo, significance, activator, relationship building, harmony that we heard about, and strategic thinking, the learners, the intellection, the thinkers. I'll tell you a quick story about my boss. I lead with strategic thinking, and I could stay in my office all day and plan and have flip charts, do mind maps, and plan way out. Futuristic is also in my top 5. Gets me in trouble. He leads with executing, and he would say, Edie, you gotta execute. Pull the band-aid. Oh, no, I'm not ready. No, you are. Go do it. So it tells a story. This is a really busy chart, okay? And I'm not about to go through the whole thing, but I'd like to point out 2 things, okay? Combinations. No strength stands alone. So that's why when you take the assessment, you get your top 5 or your top 10 or your top 34. So across the top are the 34 strengths. Each row represents a person. So each column representing that strength, we have in this group, and this is an actual group that I coached, we have high achievers and we have high responsibility. So we have executors that want to do it now, okay? Not as much planning, but they want to go, 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 and do. It's great. They get the job done. They have stamina, psychological ownership in everything they do. But they also have low influencing, especially command. Now, the interesting thing about this, and I have low command, people with lower command cannot say no. The takeaway for this is high achiever and high responsibility take on more, and with low command, this team struggles to say no. So what happens? They take on more projects than they can handle, right? So just going back to this slide for one moment, we didn't even get into the relationship building and the strategic thinking. There are a million different ways that you can do reports and unpack your team and tell a story about how your team operates. Some real aha moments when you start looking. I mean, the CEO that I referred to earlier, we did a team grid with 75 people on it. It's hanging in their main executive conference room. People are gathered around it all the time, especially when they have a meeting with somebody. Oh, what's their top 5? What's their top 5? Now they have their strengths on their doors. So it's a cultural change. It's a language, a common language that we all speak. Some more statistics from Gallup, people who focus on using their strengths, greater productivity, profitability, as Jeff mentioned. So let's talk about weaknesses. 34. You have 34. A lot of people go right to the bottom, and they're like, oh, why is empathy 34? Can I get it to move up? Well, not really. Jeff, I know, retook his assessment. People have retaken their assessment, and they really get the same results. Gallup says, if you want to, that's fine, but you don't have to. So we want to look at the opportunity for success. Consistency is my number 34. If consistency gets in the way of my success, then I need to look at that. I had a team member say to me, Edie, we worked on the presentation, and when I got there and downloaded it, I was ready to do my part, and you changed the slides. I can never do things the same way because I have low consistency. So that being out to me made me realize that, okay, I need to have conversations, and I need to make sure that there's a template that everyone's expecting to use, and I need to use it. So we all have blind spots with our strengths. I'd like to switch gears just a little bit. These two work so well together, engagement and Clifton strengths. But we know that building a culture is all about partnerships. Pam talked about that this morning on the stage. So remember that 51% are looking for jobs. 85% of global employees are not engaged or are actively disengaged. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. Understanding business results with engagement. And were you able to hear the video earlier? Okay. Sorry, the speaker's not real loud.
Engagement is really a performance objective. And so it's about positioning. It's about giving people an opportunity to do what they do best. It's about empowering people to be successful. It's about how can I, time to meet performance objectives that will allow us to better further our mission.
For me, engagement is kind of the bedrock of getting the best out of your employees. And with that engagement, you're of course going to build better performance on top of that.
Employee engagement is foundational in the role of a manager. And I think it's one of the key things that I'm responsible for. How am I creating an engagement-focused culture where people are positively impacting the team around them, the work that they're doing, the environment that they're creating?
Where before, if not to focus on how people feel, how they show up every day, what drives their engine, what makes them want to do more of it on repeat and with excellence, but engagement is the answer.
Positioning yourself as someone who's serving your people, you're always looking out for the primary needs that they have and making sure that those needs are fulfilled so that they got a clear path to success.
It's really about ownership with the team. It's not just about the manager like owning, the team engagement or the activities of the team. It's really about everybody being engaged and everybody being part of the process.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about what engagement looks like, and if, if employees are not engaged, what that looks like. So the connection between engagement and hardcore business results: 41% less absenteeism. Who would like that? Very powerful. 70% fewer safety incidents. In every presentation I've been in today, they talked about safety. Obviously, in this industry, it's key, it's critical. 59% less turnover. Moving people around saves money with the hiring process, the posting, the recruitment, the interviewing, the time involved in all of that. For managers to take time out of their day to do the interviews and select, make offers, and wait. 10% higher customer metrics, 70% higher productivity. Okay, so we talked about a little bit about what the good job looks like for you. I just want you to think for a moment, what was your best day at work? Take out another Post-it and just jot that down. What was your best day at work? What is that? Ever? And then we're going to draw a line, and I'm going to have you answer the next question. How do you feel, or how did you feel on that day? And when you're done, I'm going to ask you to pair up again and just share that with your partner. Okay, I'm going to bring you back. Hello. I'd like to hear from a couple individuals that we haven't heard from yet. Want to share? Okay.
We had similar. How would we describe our best day? Basically, we were saying the same thing. Working with others, driving towards a similar goal, and accomplishing that. And how you feel? I feel impactful and valuable and purposeful.
Okay, great. Can you hear from your partner over here?
It was similar, but and some of those you put a lot of effort into a meeting or whatnot. Sometimes walking away you feel good, but then you're drained too, and then you're motivated to do more, but you need a little break, right? So.
Yeah. Thank you. So when we talk about how you feel, and you're like, yeah, this is great. I'm on. That meeting was great. You're engaged. So we have different categories within the workplace right now: engaged, not engaged, and disengaged. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper on maybe where you are. So as we go through these, I'd like you to, that best day, I'm sure you were 100% engaged. Leaving that meeting, you're like, yeah, I'm tired, but that was so good. I got to do what I love to do. It was so successful. Engaged employees, I'm not going to read every single one of the bullet points, but this is where, okay. So they work with passion, right? They want to know what the expectations are. They want to achieve those expectations. They're curious about the company. There's consistency and high levels. We have a tendency to forget about these individuals. They're so good at what they do, we don't really talk to them much because they just do what they need to do. And sometimes they feel a little left out. They're like, yeah, my boss never talks to me. They want to use their talents and strengths every day, drive innovation, move their organization forward. Does anybody know anybody like this? A little bit, okay, saw one hand go up, a little bit disruptive, complainers, kind of, they can be happy, satisfied, but they don't really have the commitment, passion, kind of go up, kind of go through the motions. They would leave, this is the 51%, okay, they would leave or they're actively looking. Does anybody know anyone like in this category? Yes, I see a lot of heads, okay. Actively disengaged, consistently negative. It's like really hard to give somebody like that a good review. How do you say, you're negative all the time, you need to change this. They insist on sharing their unhappiness with their colleagues. This is the big one that jumps out at me right here. Has anyone ever gone home at night and said, I spent the whole day dealing with this issue? And it's usually around one problem employee. Watch how much time you're spending with that employee. There's something going on, and gotta dig deeper on that. They miss more work. Yeah, they contribute to theft. They're a paycheck stealer, right? I'm sorry? Yeah, you may. I mean, that's reality. Some people have to go. Okay, so I want to do a couple things. I want you to, on the flip side of your little Post-it note, I would like you to secretly write down, I'm not going to ask anybody, what category you're in. Are you in engaged, not engaged, or actively disengaged? I'd like to know what percentage do you think we have engaged employees? Where do we stand right now? Any get? We know 51% are actively looking. 30, okay. 15. US, yeah. 10. How about not engaged? 51, okay. And how about disengaged? What's the balance of that? I know. 40%. Somebody said 51, you got it. You know what, I have a prize for you, actually. What does this tell us? What does this tell us? What? Say that again? Not coaching right. What else? There's not purpose bigger Yeah, we have to find out what the purpose is. So this is based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is also called a Q12 survey. 12 questions, very powerful. Basic needs, starts here. I know what's expected of me at work. Guess what? I coached a police department. They did this survey. There was a piece of equipment they didn't have. That showed up. This score in number 2, materials and equipment, was really low. The CEO saw that and said, "What the blank? Why is that low? This is a safety issue." Guess what? They had that equipment, like, very quickly. Well, it's not in the budget. What? Order it. This is a safety issue. These are basic needs. If we don't allow employees to know what's expected of them or give them the materials and equipment they need, they're floundering. You're losing money. The next category is all about the individual. I have to have the opportunity to do what I do best every day, use my strengths. I need to receive recognition or praise. Someone at work seems to care about me. There we go, being soft again, right? I hear that from leaders. Oh, it's so soft. There's someone at work that encourages my development. Who wants to be encouraged? Is there anybody in here that would like a little encouragement? Could we just be real? Teamwork, my opinions count. Mission and purpose. Fellow employees are committed to doing quality work. That means I don't want disengaged, I don't want those 51% next to me because they're miserable and they're bringing me down. I have a best friend at work. That question trips everybody up. It's all about trust. Is there somebody I can trust and confide in? And lastly, growth. Huge connection between basic needs and growth. In the last 6 months, someone's talked to me about my progress. It should say last week. In the last year, I had the opportunity to work, learn, and grow. Very powerful. I'm going to go through these really quick. I want you just to realize focus me is the very first layer. Just focus me. Know me. Help me see my value. Care about me. Hear me. Help me see my contributions. I want to know. I'm coming to work every day. I want to know that I'm contributing, that I'm, and I want to be challenged. So with the engagement survey, there are actionable steps that you would do with your team that drives results. Managers love this because you can break out the reports by manager and they know how their team feels. So, on another post-it note, take a moment and just jot down what matters to you today. Where are you? Do you have the basic needs? Do you want more growth? What's one action you can take away to contribute to your own engagement relative to these 12 questions? My contact information, before we go to Mentimeter, I'd like to thank everybody for your, I don't know why this keeps occurring. Let's see. It's just a connection. I'd like to thank everybody so nice for me to be able to, speak to a group that isn't afraid to share. So I hope that you have, my goal in all of this is just, a hope that you took away something that you can take back to your organization, a learning, one of those 12, hopefully something helped you today. Hopefully you had an aha moment. But thank you so much for your participation. I appreciate all of you.